And this is Dora.
And we are here from the Storycloth shop, and today we are going to talk about Ancestry DNA.
Yes.
So we took the test over a month ago? I think it was over a month ago. And so we've gotten Ancestry DNA kit, plus the traits portion of it, and we did our test, and we have the video. We'll have a link to the first video, but we basically, and it was like a super small little packet, and then we like just got, I don't know, like probably
a good
like,
amount of saliva.
I guess, yeah, that's true. I thought it was gonna be not. You know, I thought it was going to be easy,
yeah.
And then I realized that, I don't know, I guess I just don't have a lot of
Let's
saliva.
just say you have to take a break.
Yes.
And come back to
yes.
filling it up with more saliva, because it's a lot of pressure for you to create that much saliva in one sitting. But it was pretty interesting.
And then there was like the bubbles portion. Like, I guess in your spit, there's actually a good portion of bubbles, and bubbles don't count when it comes to this test. So it has to be like legit just spit.
Yeah. And we know some of you guys are wanting to see that part of it, but trust me, it's not glamorous.
It's not.
You know, like whoever wins this kit, and if you guys decide to go ahead and try the Ancestry DNA test for yourself, you'll understand.
Yes, yeah. And so, so I think you actually got notified way before I did about getting your results. And the great thing is that it definitely did notify us and let us know that, you know, we got the results. And so, yeah, is there anything to go over before we start looking at it?
I've been holding off on like looking at the results, and everyone in my family and all my friends are like, you need to look at it because we want to find out, but we're finally doing it.
Yes.
So
yeah. Okay, so do you want to start? So we're looking at phones, not because we're on Facebook, but we are actually just accessing the website where, you know, on the Ancestry.com site of our account. And I don't know if we were required to create the account. We were required to create.
That's how they keep track of your results. It gets sent to your account, and then you can just easily access it then.
Okay, cool. So I am on there, and do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so on here I am seeing there's like a pie chart, and it's showing the estimation of my ethnicity, and it's saying 66% China and 34% Southeast Asia, or in parentheses Thai. So I think Southeast Asia is just covering like the region, but they're not specific, which explains a lot, because if you think about it, not a lot of Asians really document their history. If you think about it, this is like an American company, so, you know, like with what data they have, you know, I say that they did a really great job.
And I was like surprised that your China percentage is lower, you know, because mine was 85% China, and then 10% Southeast Asia, kind of like hers, the Thai, and then I have one little region, and that was, I think it was Vietnam. Let's see. Wow, I got some Vietnamese in me somewhere, somehow, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that we both kind of knew that China was going to be probably a big part of it, you know, just because of the history of the Hmong people and where we came from. But we were curious to see if, you know, along the way, there was some divergence. And so I think that was interesting for me to see.
I think that this is just like another open door for us. I feel like, you know, we kind of already knew or suspected that there were some Chinese, you know, in our, I guess you can say, in our background. There's a lot of questions there, you know, and this is just gonna kind of fan that flame of like curiosity of finding out more about our background. I'm interested to you know, even understand like why our language is so different if we have such a big percentage of Chinese, you know. But then again, like AncestryDNA.com is an American company. And so I feel like, you know, the fact that they were able to match me up with Southeast Asia and China or Laos was just based off of my saliva.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Let's see, and then on the main screen, underneath, I have these what it's called DNA matches, and they have little ancestor hints, and I think that's probably, it has a little leaf inside of it. And so when you think about a tree, right, and so you think about if it's my family tree, and then those branches with my kids, and then if you think about like my dad's tree and his branches, like all of those branch off to, you know, different families and things like that. And so they have like ancestor hints, and then apparently I have 468 fourth cousins or closer.
I have 444th cousins or closer.
And it's funny because in the Hmong, you know, like being Hmong, you know, everybody's always like, oh yeah, you're related in some way or another. You know, it's always, you know, comes back to that. And so it's fascinating that, you know, they were able to match some of who I am with other people. And these are other people that have taken the DNA test. And so I was actually super surprised that there's actually, for me, like a lot of Hmong people that have, you know, been interested in their history and their DNA and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and funnily enough, it's like they didn't find any first or second cousins, but they found third cousins and fourth cousins.
Yeah. At least you have third. I only have fourth.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, mine was like completely blank, and then it's like fourth cousins, 440.
Yeah, so that's funny, but it's kind of cool to, you know, and some of these people aren't Hmong people, and so I don't know if it's like people that like, you know, like marry, you know, somebody else, but some of these names I'm just like, wow, like I'm curious to see, you know, where the tree went, you know, and just those stories and history, and so I think that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And then there's also this DNA circles, which I haven't really looked into, but again, like Dora said,
that flame of curiosity.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so you could really, like, through Ancestry.com, you can create a family tree, and then you can really try to find your people. And I know that's not an easy task for us because we don't have a lot of things written down. We don't have records. Any records that we have, other people have burned. And so, so I think what we really do need to, you know, look into that. And
guys, I would really encourage you guys to, if you guys haven't had a chance to try out Ancestry DNA yet, to go ahead and do it, because you know what? Even if the results come back and you're not impressed or you're not happy about it, it helps, you know, it's the beginning of the documentation of our people.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like when you think about it, you want your great-great-grandchildren to look back and be able to trace back to you, you know? We can't do that because no one's done it before us.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, that was something that we were hoping to see is like, oh, you know, like more about people that shared, you know, like, even if it was like an ounce of the same DNA or whatever it may be, like, how they look like, where they from, not necessarily Hmong, but none of that is in here because there's just none of those data like documented into their systems. And so I would highly suggest, you know, you try it, encouraging your family to try it, just so that we can finally start putting these things into the system. Right,
because I can't remember. I was trying to find how many samples they have in here, and I think it might be like 250,000 or I don't know, somewhere around that like samples. And so when you put your information in, it kind of connects us and helps us to bridge that gap. And I know, like, I don't have any grandparents left, but I know that my grandma on my mom's side still has a brother that's still living. And so just connecting those, and if you wanted to get those stories, like, who are you connected to, so that they can kind of provide you a piece of that picture of, you know, like your ancestors or your, you know, your grandparents that have long passed like mine. They can provide you a picture of that, and you can get those stories down so that you can then pass them on to your kids, and then, you know, that can get passed on and on. So
yeah, let's go to the traits.
Okay, so it says on here, your DNA can reveal so much more than just your ethnicity. Learn more about things you can see, like eye color, and things you can't, like how you taste flavors. Traits can give you even more insight into the fascinating story of what makes you uniquely you. And so this was the part that I was like, I was expecting a little bit more.
It's like a general, not guess, but like assumption of like how like your traits are. Like, so one of my traits says that like my pointer finger is longer than, or yeah, taller than my my ring finger, which is true. But I mean, I've never really looked at it that way. But when I read it, I like, you know, held my hand up and I realized, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But there's like other things like what color your, you know, eyes are, you know, and there's like a huge percentage of like the Hmong that, you know, share like brown eyes, and a smaller percentage that's black, and then like a very, very small percentage that has like hazel eyes, you know, and so I'm curious because I've heard like some people say, I don't know if it's a myth, but there's some Hmong people who have blue eyes, that there's like a 0% for blue eyes. Yeah. And so maybe though, like that, that family tree hasn't really fallen into the ancestry system.
Right.
But I just thought that was kind of cool. Or like the ear, like the attachment on the bottom, and little things like that. Like they were able to kind of like show just through our saliva tests.
Right, like so I'm looking at the earwax type. Very sexy. It says, Callie, your DNA tells us that you probably have wet earwax, which is fascinating because it's like, how do you know?
Is that true?
No, actually, that's not true.
It's not?
Yeah.
So you have dry?
Or, I mean, I wouldn't say I have dry. Probably somewhere
in between. There's some people who have in between.
And so it's just fascinating that for some reason my DNA told them that, you know, I have wet earwax, so.
Yeah. Well, I think it was interesting, but then there's some things that just weren't really like, I guess, that appealing or that impressive. Like things like, you know, if you have freckles or not, or like it doesn't really show like reasons why or how that's possible. Like it just says yes or no. It's like true or false, or you have the opposite or whatever it may be.
Can I read this really quick?
Yeah.
So it says, I'm still on the earwax type.
Oh.
So science says, so what type of earwax you have is determined by the ABCC11 gene on chromosome 16, which is just spectacular that they can, you know, get in like that. There are two versions of the gene. One codes for wet earwax and the other codes for dry. Dry earwax is a recessive trait, which means you have to inherit the dry version of the gene from both parents in order to have it. Scientists aren't sure why Asian and Native American populations should be different from the rest of the world when it comes to earwax. One theory is that drier earwax could have been an advantage to ancient populations in the frigid climates of Northeast Eurasia. So I think it's, you know, so I think as far as the traits, it would be, I'm still, you know, and I think we both have to explore a little bit more, but it's like, what exactly is the purpose of the traits? Like what does that tell me? You know, I think I was looking for how that, I don't know, like, is that a trait that's something that's seen, you know, from where I you know, was from or whatever. That's what I was kind of looking for. And I think it's more like, oh, you have this, and, you know. So, yeah.
But there's many more traits that we just didn't go through. Like, we actually have to explore a lot of it.
On the site itself, there's like a ton of things, and they have like a membership subscription thing where you can, you know, get access to all sorts of documentation they have on file, and you can look up, you know, like stories of, you know, different people, like newsletters, like newspapers, you know, any articles, anything like that. So it's pretty cool how, you know, if this is something that you want to dig deeper into, I think this is a fantastic start to getting there. So
yeah.
And then we have our giveaway. And so we were.
Hey guys, sorry about that. So it looks like our camera just like turned off right at 19 minutes, and so we lost the video clip of us drawing the name. But Carly Castillas, you are our winner for the giveaway, so congratulations. We will be reaching out to you, and thanks everyone for just entering this giveaway. It's the first of many.